Hi everyone, this is Rachael Merrick from Southeast Queensland, Australia, Stampin Up demonstrator. I am happy to announce that I am back with the Global Monthly Video Hop Group, and our June theme is Favourite Sweet. I apologise, there's been some technical difficulties with me getting this done, so I'll do the very best I can without actually including some of the videos that I did take. So in the new annual catalogue, one of the first ones of the sweets that jumped out at me is this Happy Forest Friends. Really cute images. They have a matching die set that goes with it as well. The dies are really cute. Not only do they cut out our stamped images of our little furry friends and their elements, but there are some additional ones as well. This stamp set's really easy to use. There's not a lot of colouring to do, although you can do a technique of colouring over the top. The suite itself contains a duo pack, a twin pack of Old Olive and I think it's Sahara Sand, like a grosgrain style ribbon. The DSP that comes with this are fantastic. They have these background elements which are really handy to create a quick card or even a scrapbooking layout if that's what you're after. But the back sides of them are some beautiful little busy prints, so they make the perfect background of a card and are really easy to use because the colours in this one coordinate so beautifully. They do use Calypso Coral in there, as well as your Old Olive and Soft Succulent. So really pretty colours, very gender neutral as well. Some of the samples in the catalogue are amazing and will give you some great inspiration as well. Bound to be a favourite if you've got little people in your world. So the colours I'm using today for my card are Calypso Coral. I do have, I think it was Daffodil Delight Soft Suede and Basic Grey. And I am doing a bit of a voiceover of this one, so probably things won't line up exactly, but I have used one of the DSP and I'm going to fussy cut out one of the trees. You will need a dauber, and I will show you what this is for. This is to give you a two-tone effect. I'm using the bear, the Hello Baby sentiment, and the little tiny mushroom. Very, very cute. I have pre-cut my Old Olive base, and I have it opening upwards. And we have a basic grey and another piece of this DSP, as well as one of the backgrounds, which is a beautiful yellow chevron kind of pattern on it. This is a very basic card, a very basic layout, not one for stampers that have a lot of experience, I guess, an easy one. The tip that I would have for you if you are using scissors and cutting freehand is to take your time. Try to keep a little white border around the outside. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect, and make sure that you're moving the paper as well as the scissors. That kind of helps you go around the outside and maneuver it so that you get cleaner cuts. It's not so jagged around the outside. The tree elements in this DSP are super cute. They have like little leaves that are slightly darker than the rest of the tree. So you have that cartoon look to your card, which is very, very cute. I'm creating a card that, yes, has some blocked elements. So that's what we call those sections that are matted. So I've got my basic grey matte and my DSP. But then also I've got some free elements as well. So things that aren't blocked or set in stone, which is like that, like the tree and our bear will be as well. So I'm taking a piece of basic white, just a scrap piece, and I'm going to stamp out my bear. I am using the soft suede, and I mount him on a block. Very simple because you're going to get a solid stamp, or pretty much a solid stamp. There is elements in the stamp that are slightly lighter when you stamp it, and his belly section, especially to one side, is quite dark. So be sure to stamp him a few times so you get an image that you particularly like, particularly when you've got brand new stamps. Brand new stamps, a good hint is also to give them a good rub, especially these rubber ones as well, just if there's any residue left over from when they've made it. So you can see I've stamped it a second time, and this is just to give a better impression. Sometimes the second one is better. Very hard to see, but you can, if you look closely, see that underneath one arm was a little bit lighter than the other in one of the stamped images. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my blender pen, and I am using crumb cake, and I think it was a lighter grey, so like a smoky slate. And I'm going to go over the top just ever so gently. This is just going to give that little bit of extra depth. I wanted it to be not quite so light, so that there's less variation in the shading. So I'm just going to use it, and I'm going to go over the sections, and because they're blender pens, they will blend through. I did allow a couple of seconds for my ink to dry because it is a water-based ink, so you don't want to wreck your blender pens, which are alcohol-based. I'm going to go back over with the light crumb cake just to give a little bit more of the shadowing and definition to some of the sections that are already really shaded, and I just want to blend them in a little bit more. And as this dries, it does lighten slightly. And the end product, you really hardly even knew that it was a stamped image because it blends so beautifully that you get a very smooth matte kind of finish to your image. And it's a really neat little trick if you're trying to fill it in so it doesn't look blotchy, and I guess that's my word, but depending on the colour that you use to stamp images like this, it will look a little blotchy. So you can see the difference between the two images once I've coloured over the top with my stamping blends. So we're going to use that second one that I have coloured, and we're going to use our dies to cut them out. Here I come in with our little mushroom, and these guys are really cute. They also have a die that matches them. And I'm going to use the Daffodil Delight as well as the Calypso Coral. Now, this technique works on all size stamps, but this is super cute. I'm using a Dauber, the little sponge, with some Calypso Coral on it, and I'm going to just tap it across the top once I've already inked up my little mushroom with the yellow. And this just kind of gives, and you'll see the image in a second, it gives kind of a multi-tonal look. So you've got a little bit of the orange on top and some of the yellow on the bottom, and you can just repeat that process. It's not a lot of the orangey Calypso Coral, so you probably won't see it, or it won't blend into your Daffodil Delight ink pad. And you can use that Dauber a couple of times without re-inking it because it will have a fair bit of ink on it. I tend to label a lot of my Daubers because I have quite a few of them, so I've got sort of one dedicated for almost every colour that I use for this kind of technique. So I'm only going to do the three, and they're going to be clustered on the card as well. Some of them are going to be popped up and some are a bit flat. So we're going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment, which I chose Hello Baby. We've got a couple of babies coming into our world this year, another grandbaby coming, and a niece, as well as a friend having a baby. So so far 2022 is very, very baby orientated for us. So I'm going to use the dies. So I'm going to use the bear die to cut him out, and also the little mushroom die, and there's a few of those in there, so that's really handy. Like when you're trying to cut out multiples and you've only got one die, it's a real pain, but this time around they've included a couple in there, so that's easier for when you're just wanting to pass through our cut and emboss machine just once or twice. Now my little tip with these is just use a little tiny piece of, I've got washi tape, however you pronounce it, and I am just sticking those down so they don't wiggle when I put them on my plates to go through my cut and emboss machine. My plates, even though I have tried to keep them very, very flat, they have got a slight bend in them, which is a bit of a pain, but, you know, at least by doing this and anchoring your dies down, they're not going to move, which tends to happen when the plates are a little bit warped. So I'm just going to use another couple of little bits. There's my little thin washi tape. I bought that at a cheap store years ago, and there's so much on it for this kind of project, and this just sits right beside my Stampin' Emboss machine, and I just use little tiny bits and then throw them away. And the good thing about it is the washi tape doesn't stick solidly enough that it ruins anything on my images, which is really nice, and it just peels off. And the final thing that I am going to do is use my stitch rectangles, and I'm going to use this really skinny one to cut out my Hello Baby, and you'll see when I bring it back in, I'm actually going to only use one end of it. So I'm going to position that over, again, a bit of washi tape to hold it in place so it's nice and straight. I love the stitch rectangles and the circles as well, because the little bit of detail in the stitching is beautiful. So handy sort of sets to have, whether they're current or retired. You will use them over and over and over again, these kinds of stitch shapes or stitch elements. Yeah. So I'm just running it through the machine very quickly here, which I haven't got on camera, so I do apologise for that, but it doesn't take more than a few seconds to run it through and bring it back. And what's great is with all those extra dies, you don't really require more than one or two passes through, because you're not swapping and changing and trying to cut out extras. And here they are. So I'm going to pop them out and take our washi tape off, so they don't even move when you take them out of the machine, which is great. You can see that two-tone look to our little mushrooms, which is very cute. And mushrooms in the wild obviously aren't yellow and orange. It's pretty rare that you're going to get something like that. Although I have found your little fairy tail kind of mushrooms, the red ones with the little white dots on them, and I have found them in the wild before. So I'm now bringing in some of our ribbon. Now this ribbon is gorgeous. It's very soft, very pliable. I'm going to be using it lots on like little gift packaging and things like that. So kind of excited for these colours because they're so neutral. And I have been experimenting with them, stamping on them as well. I didn't do it in this project, but you'll see it in some upcoming projects probably over on my blog. So I'm going to start sticking down. My preferred adhesive, as everyone knows, is now the Tombow white glue. Never was. I was a scrapbooker in a previous life. Say it in all my videos, and I was a double-sided tape kind of girl, and that's all I ever used, and thought that glue would ruin my projects and all sorts of things. And I think because I worked with photos, that was always the case. This stuff is very sticky, so just letting you know that it is sticky. And you'll see me sort of play around with here comes the double-sided tape, but I kind of play around a little bit with the ribbon. I want it to have this element of coming down off the top. Sometimes this works on cards and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes my scissors cooperate, sometimes they won't. Sometimes the ribbon falls the way I want it to when I'm trying to do things, and other times it doesn't. It's just the way it goes. So you will see me mess around a little bit with this over the coming minutes. So that's kind of the look that I wanted, but I did want to have kind of this twisted ribbon. I don't know what the correct term is. Now these two ribbons are different widths, not tons, but definitely so you could nest them. So I just want a small amount so I can give it a bit of a twist. And this is where I run into a little bit of trouble. That's what I want. Exactly right there is what I want. But sticking it down is not the easiest. I have got my little glue dots, and that's what I will use, but nothing was cooperating the day that I created this. So I tried to get them all up with my scissors and all sorts of things. So you will see here in a second where it goes a little bit pear-shaped. So like I said, you'll have to excuse the messing around because, of course, the glue dot's only going to stick one side down. If you haven't had a good look through the new annual catalogue, I really think, you know, contact your Stampin' Up demonstrator, grab yourself a copy. There is some fabulous sweets in there. Like I said, this one sort of appealed to me because we've got lots of little ones coming into our world at the moment, and I do really like that forest feel. There are a couple of other forest themed stamp sets, some beautiful ones with more like, you know, deers and things like that in it. There's one that I have used already in the past that came up in a mini catalogue. So here I am just trimming it back a little bit, getting ready to stick it down. It's still not cooperating. So this is what happens when you try really hard to make something simple and it's not quite so simple. So learn from my mistakes, that's for sure. I probably should have just stapled it or something. It would have been much easier. So this is an element that ordinarily I would probably stick underneath something. So I did struggle a little bit. I knew I wanted it on there, and I thought I knew how I wanted it, and then I've messed around with it again. So the final glue dot was the one that sealed the deal for me. But the rest of the card does come together very quickly, and the layout itself, very simple. So please feel free to go ahead and pretty much copy what I have done, because it creates a great background for this little scenery that you're going to create with these few little elements that you have either cut out or stamped and die cut. So a plainer background before we add these elements. So here goes the tree. And the tree, I decided I was going to lay it flat because I want the bear to sit up off my card. So the tree goes down to the wrong side, to the other side. Watching this back now, it's quite amusing that I think that's where I originally was going to put it and then second guess myself. Yet again, this is what we do as paper crafters. We never are confident in what we are doing first up. Now, these little adhesive dots from Stampin' Up are amazing. I go through lots and lots of them. Super simple, although I have to admit my craft area does get covered in these little snowflake backings from time to time. Luckily, my husband bought me a little mini battery-powered vacuum cleaner to clean up the mess that I do tend to make. So popping down here, our little bear, he's so cute, waving. And of course our sentiment is hello baby, which is going to sit up the top above our tree, and I'm going to trim it back and then add that little pennant end to it where I just cut in the middle and then cut from corner up to the middle, turn over, corner up to the middle. The best way, Tracy Bish actually showed me this one, thanks Trace. So just a super simple way to make sure that you get it nice and even. I could never get them even before, and now every time it's perfect. So hello baby, ready and waiting for these babies to all arrive. And our last couple of things is our mushrooms. So like I said earlier, if you haven't got yourself an annual catalogue, please reach out to myself or to your local demonstrator and grab one. There are some super cute images and sweets in there, as well as some of the stamp sets. The DSP as well is gorgeous in these sets, in this catalogue. I always seem to want all of them, which is really hard. But and of course, if you are interested in becoming a demonstrator, whether it be a hobby or you want to start a little business of your own, contact me as well. Thanks for joining me, everyone. This is my super simple, although it didn't seem that way, card using the Forest Friends suite. It's great that you have come and joined me today. If you would like to subscribe and like, thank you very much.